when did kind of the idea that and the foresight to say, oh, cloud is the future, and when did that come into play with Microsoft and Google?
I think it was experiential. Again, for whatever reason, again, maybe it's partly genetic because of my dad, or experiential, growing up in this family that was highly, surrounded by latest technology. I guess that's what we prefer, prioritize spending money on, because we didn't have a lot of it. But I as I was going around fixing people's computers, I was like, God, this is like, all this data is distributed, all this stuff is distributed. The first thing I figured out was that the break fix model of IT services was really dumb. Like, I just sat at my desk and waited for something to break, and then I would get a call, and we'd go in this emergency mode because their business is down because they can't function, and try to fix it under high pressure and send a big bill. Like, that's a terrible experience for everybody. So I was like, look, let me create a model that now, of course, managed services is like the standard. Is I'm just going to bill you per month, and I'm going to keep your systems from going down. Because the reason it's going down is like, you're not doing backups, you don't have antivirus, you're defragging your hard drive, whatever. Like, if somebody just looked at that once a month or once every 2 weeks, like, it wouldn't go down. So that actually was the first thing that scaled. And by scaled, I mean, we got like 20 customers pretty quickly. And then, so that forced us to, like, I hired a couple of people. Like, I had to, like, I have all this stuff in the car, and I used to drive around from this place. I was like, all this stuff is everywhere, and I have to go there to fix it. What if it was all co-located in one place? Like, then I wouldn't have to do that. And this is early days of Citrix came out with their terminal virtualization stuff, basically application virtualization, right? And terminal server was there. So I was like, wait a minute, I could like put Exchange in one place. I could put file stores in one place, and I could just give people like a dumb terminal experience. Nothing can break, right? I just have to maintain the core. I convinced 2 of our managed services clients to try it. We created this snazzy name and try to figure out how to price it. And they tried it, and I figured out very quickly how building and maintaining data centers was so cost prohibitive for someone like me. It was so difficult technically to get right. So we actually rolled those customers back. So it was totally through a random incident by which I found some ad one day for Google search appliance. It was like this hardware that allowed you to search your behind the firewall data with the same Google experience that the internet was beginning to fall in love with in 2005 and 2006. So I called Google. I said, I want to be your partner. I had no idea what plans they had, but I was like, Google is cool, and they have something for businesses, and I want to be in that market. So it was, but when they then tapped us on the shoulder and told us we're launching this thing called Gmail for your domain. They already had Gmail. Like, you could put your own business domain on Gmail. I was like, oh my God, this is what I was trying to do. But it's freaking hard. You mean like I can do this for customers and they're going to build the data centers? Like, whoa, that's amazing, right? So it became clear to me that was the future because of my own experience of the alternative being like so bad, so difficult. That's so inefficient.
Yeah. It's so interesting when you mention it that way, because I never thought about the dawn of time for any of that stuff. It just happened, on this and here. And obviously I'm set up leveraging Google through my domains now. And I remember even at the time seeing when we were at Disney and seeing that Disney animation that they had set up in this sort of way. And then eventually when I was over at Netflix, they had set up this way. And it's like, as things have evolved, that's just almost, I don't want to call it the norm, but it is much more of the norm today. Yeah. Obviously, others might leverage, Microsoft. There's other solutions around it.
Yeah,
but that's so interesting to think about. Yeah, somebody having to help set that up out of the gate. I just would have never thought about that.
Yeah, email was sort of the first domino. Email was the most obvious. Email was first. Email went fast, and now nobody hosts their own email. Obviously, infrastructure, AWS came very quickly. that became the standard. They went first. They had a 10-year head start or whatever on Microsoft and Google, but infrastructure sort of came second in my mind. But email, first mainstream application to go all cloud, and we were at the precipice of it because this was 2 years before Microsoft had any answer to a similar offering.
Yeah,
it's so interesting. You sometimes forget how fast technology moves because it falls on your lap. You're like, oh, this is cool. I remember at Disney in the early days, one of the projects was how to get off of fax machines because everybody was faxing purchase orders.
Oh, yeah.
And now when I think about it, I'm like, holy crap, what a painful experience
Man,
that
we
was.
implemented so much of like digital software faxing stuff for our customers. Like it would take it would scan it would put it in a folder, and like it was like there was some good sized software companies that digitized fax.